Chris, thank you for joining me on Real Estate Success Stories. This is a podcast where I have agents come on of all different production sizes and all different niches. I'm always obsessed with different ways of doing it. One of my favorite things about real estate is it is truly a business and an industry that can really lean into who you are as a human being. And I follow you on social. We grew up in the same market, and we didn't actually get to really interact until social, right?
For sure.
I think I was interacting with you before I even realized you were at EXP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you started blowing up on Instagram. You were the algorithm was always showing you me. Yeah.
Well, and I want to unpack that, but before we get there, let's just start with how you entered the industry. I think for especially because this is targeted, and we make this content specifically for real estate agents. That obviously the largest viewership is probably from inside the brand, but it's open content. But tell us how you got into the industry. What was year one, and then we can fast forward to what the world looks like today.
Yeah, dude, it was funny, man. I was this was like at the height of like computer programming and all of that, early 2000s. And I didn't go to college, so my parents were like, "You should, go to computer school." I ended up going to computer school to become a computer programmer. Absolutely hated it, but long story short, the school was stealing money from the Department of Education, and they came in and they closed the school down. And then they said, "Hey, look, we're going to find other schools for you guys to go to. But you're going to have to give us a couple months." And then just happened to be somebody I knew was like, "Hey man, you should get a real estate license in the meantime." And then I was like, "Yeah, you know what? Might as well, So that's kind of how I got into it, man. And didn't know a thing or anybody. And I was probably like 19 years old or something like that. Yeah.
And so tell me, and so I got licensed in 2002, similar era, actually super similar story. I went to school for graphic design. I wanted to build websites.
Nice.
What were those early years like? Did you jump right into it and crush it your first year and never look back? Talk to me.
Absolutely not, man. That's the cool thing about my story. Like the first year I just did okay. Like, and the funny thing was, Northern Virginia, I drove every day to the office from Gainesville to the other side of Woodbridge. It was like an hour each way. I would sit there by myself and not really like know what to do, but I did end up calling people I knew and all of that. And I was like, "Hey, I'm a realtor now." And, I sold like maybe 10 homes. And then after that, I was like the first year I just remember I was at a company meeting. I'm not gonna say the name, but it was a local company here. And a kid walked up to the owner and said, it was a Christmas party, "Hey, I want to make $1 million a year." And the owner said, "It's not possible. I've never seen it done before in real estate." And I was like, I'm at the wrong company. And so I'm maybe in the wrong path. So I ended up being a buyer agent for a local brokerage for 5 years after that.
And how did, and by the way, I preach that I think that's the best education that exists in real estate.
For sure.
Talk to me about, I get off stages and people say, "Hey, if you were 22 years old again, what would you do?" And my actual suggestion is find a team leader who's crushing it.
Yeah.
That you want to be most like, he or she. And more importantly, figure out them as a complete human being, not just as a producer. Like, are they the type of spouse and parent you want to be like? Because especially when young people ask me that, let's actually unpack that a little bit. Like 5 years on a team, it was probably a hell of an education. Talk me through that.
Dude, you know what was cool about it was that was my first time to like really learn to be on the phone, because back then, it was a lot of sign calls and open houses. Like that was it. Like the internet leads were just starting, but they weren't really there. And this guy had a lot of listings, and he did not give out listing appointments. Like there was, you were like, had to be like one of his top 1 or 2 agents. And then he really preached work in your sphere. And so I, signed up for Buffini on my own and did that. But here was the crazy thing about it, man. This guy listed a ton of properties. And I remember he said, "Hey, if anyone wants to go with me on listing appointments, let me know and I'll take you with me." And I went on 50 listing appointments with this guy. And he probably got 48 of the 50 signed. And I shut up. I sat there, I listened, and then in the car, I would just ask him questions. And I remember he was like, "You're the only person I've ever had on this like 50-person team that's willing to do this." Because he went out 7, 8 o'clock at night. Man, I still to this day use what he taught me in appointments. Like, hey, this is what you do when you get out of a car. This is why you're not on your phone when you get out of the car, because the seller could be looking at you. Always have to take your shoes off. And I still to this day use everything. And that was probably the most biggest education I ever got, was being on that guy's team for 5 years.
And what you just described is the osmosis part of it, right? It's like, it doesn't matter how many training videos you watch or script and role playing, right? So like, I remember teaching agents on my team, like that initial, once the door opens and they're like, hey, may I give you a tour? Absolutely say yes every single time.
Right. Yeah.
Right. If they offer you something to drink, water or coffee, always say yes. Right. If you don't want to drink coffee at night, just say water. But like there are subconscious mental cues of saying yes.
Right.
Create then the necessity for them to say yes. Right. There's all the psychology that comes with the sales process.
Yeah, the water thing. And then a big thing I learned from him was always sitting at the dining room table, because it felt a lot more formal and professional. And then always saying and always asking, hey, who wants to give me a tour of the house? Because if it was the wife, then she's probably the one in charge. If it's the husband, then he's probably the decision maker. And then always, and that whole process doesn't take that long, but I always pointed out stuff. And the reason that I learned that from him was I might not think that stone fireplace was that great, but that might have been a huge cost for them that they was so excited about. And I learned quickly, they did, oh my God, you were the only person that asked about the stone fireplace. And so just learning things like that on the, being in the streets, man, it helps so much.
No, it's so true. One of the things that I really got out of it was it creates the opportunity for a genuine interest. And what I mean by that is, if I saw, a degree on the wall from, University of West Virginia, you don't need to have any commonality, but you can say, what were some of your favorite activities while you're in college in West Virginia? And typically that's when people light up. It's like, oh, I actually picked that school because I'm big into fill in the blank. Right. And all of a sudden, especially in DC, you could have a introverted government contractor who's monotone light up. Right.
Yeah.
Or, you'd get the tour and it's like, oh, you like Dungeons and Dragons because your basement's set up. And all of a sudden, like, I don't need to know anything, but when humans are excited about something, you get to learn about them. You get to learn about their personality. So those tiny, tiny nuances are so powerful in the process.
Dude, I'm glad you said that. I was on a listing appointment last year, and the dad had died, and the people that I met with were like baby boomers, And I saw to the corner of my eye something, and it said it was an award from President Truman, and I'm a big World War II guy. So I was like, hey, I saw the corner of my eye some award from President Truman. And they go, oh my God, that's amazing that you actually noticed that. No one else has pointed that out. And it was their grandfather was a Dutch scientist. You being in the DMV, you meet crazy stories. And he actually got captured by the Nazis, put in Auschwitz and survived. And then he came here and became a big scientist. And he got all these medals and stuff. And I was like, your grandfather is freaking a badass, man. That's amazing, And then and then they were like, literally, they called me like, man, we feel like so comfortable with you. Like you have a genuine interest in our family and making sure we're taken care of. But it was, you noticed, or I went with one and the guy had pictures with every president. And I ended up finding out he was the top guy with the Secret Service. And I was like, oh, tell me, what do you do? And he kind of just gave me a little explanation, but people appreciate that, man.
Well, I think people forget that at the end of the day, we are a tribal species.
Right.
And we do business with and choose people who make us feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I say, lean into your superpowers, which kind of is the perfect segue into why social is so powerful.
Right.
Which I will give credit to Jared James, because that's where I got the phraseology from.
Nice.
Two things Jared says that I've adopted as my own because they're so powerful, but I do give him credit. One is visibility trumps ability.
Mm-hmm.
Visibility trumps ability. And that social media is no longer social media, right? It might have been when Zuck started it,
right?
But now it's modern day marketing, right? It is a media company of one, to quote Gary Vee. And the coolest part that I've experienced and that I watch people like you do so well is the long form content. Like there's a super um, iconic video clip of Gary V in 2008 ranting and raving because he's so excited. And like, think about how long ago that was.
Yeah.
And he goes, in 10 years, no one will be able to hide who they are.
Right. For sure.
Everything will be documented. And in a decade from now, we will know exactly who everybody is.
Yeah.
And for the folks that create content, it's like it's binary. Either you're transparent or you're not, right? Like we have, there's celebrities that account follows 0 people, and you can tell everything is done by a marketing team.
100%. Yeah.
Versus, I'll leave names out of those examples, but like a Sarah Blakely is the dead opposite, right? Like it's her and her husband Jesse Itzler is the same way.
Jesse,
like,
yeah.
You can tell from their stories, you can like the rawness, the authenticity comes through in the content. So now so modern day marketing, walk us through your journey, right? You have 37,000 plus subscribers on YouTube and some 85,000 followers on your Instagram team page. But before that, there was a Chris Colgan 95,000 follower account that was started around Air Jordans. Kind of walk us through, like, when did you have the aha?
Right.
And also, because I think, again, people see that and they go, I don't know where to start.
Right.
So walk us through the process of starting and what get you going, right? Because the early part is, again, I don't know who coined it, but it's climbing that cringe mountain.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. You know what, man? And I'll tell you this really quick. Speaking of followers and all of that, I have never seen a better time to get into social, because now the algorithms are pushing out the best content. So like follower count doesn't matter as much as it used to, but yeah, man, what's funny is I'm a big YouTube guy. Like I watch YouTube all the time. And I actually just read a stat the other day that YouTube is by far the #1 platform. It's 89% of Americans use YouTube. And most of my viewers actually come from the television, believe it or not cell phones, which is crazy. But so I'm a big YouTube guy. And I just remember one day, you'll know this town because you're from Northern Virginia, is Manassas, Virginia. I typed it in on YouTube and it was like a guy driving around, just showing like little landmarks. And then it was like local news stories. And I was like, man, a lot of people move into Manassas and there's really not a good video. This was like 4 years ago. And so I just hired a videographer. Actually, the first time I went out vlogging and I just like walked around, I talked about it. I was like, hey, this is what I really like about Manassas. These are the pros and cons. The video maybe, dude, had like 20 views, right? And so for YouTube, I really started putting out a video a week, because everything I read was YouTube rewards consistency. And it's still true to this day. And I kid you not, it took about a year before I got one call. Because here's the problem with our market. What's that?
You got to repeat that, because I want people to miss that.
Yeah, it took me a year before I got one call.
And how many pieces of content did you upload?
I would say probably that year 36.
And just level of effort.
Dude, well, a lot. Because here's the thing with YouTube is the biggest thing with YouTube cares about is watch time. So I was down to like a 20% watch time, which meant a lot of people clicked off. And for them, that means they can't put ads on it, right? Like they want to be able to put ads on your stuff, even if you're not monetized. And what I noticed was in the beginning, I was like, hey, my name is Chris Colgan. I'm with EXP here. And then they've already clicked off. And so I had to go back, and as cringy as it was, I would watch some of my videos and I'm like, man, I shouldn't have said that. Or I should have showed more B-roll and things like that. And I started to do that. And then all of a sudden the calls were coming in. And here's the funny thing with YouTube. Most of the people watch me for 6 months to a year before they call. And then they call me and they're like, oh my God, dude, I can't believe that you actually answered. It's you. And they're shocked. And they're like, hey man, I want to buy a house in Northern Virginia, or I want to sell my house. And I've been watching your YouTube. You seem to know what you're talking about. I love your stories. Would you even have the time to meet with me?
And by the way, pause right there.
Yeah.
100% what every agent, like Levi, Soman that do long form YouTube
Yeah.
content for Legion all say.
Yeah,
Right?
100%.
First of all, it's like they're grateful you picked up, and they're like, and it's literally the exact same sentence you just said. I cannot believe I'm on the phone with you. Would you be even willing to take a new client?
Yeah.
And what's the conversion ratio you see on those leads?
Oh my God, dude. Probably 50, 60%. And if they don't convert, it's because they just weren't ready yet.
They can't. Yeah, they don't qualify.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 60. I've heard between 60 and like 80%.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. And you got to remember, most of the people that call you from there, I mean, I've sold multi-million-dollar properties. Like YouTube is when you look at the analytics, it's like 30, 40, 50s. It's not young kids. It's people that are professional, move into the area and they want to know. And I think gone are the days of like jumping on these sites and stuff. And that stuff still works. But I think people now, they want to see who they're meeting with.
Last night, as we were having dinner, my wife was watching YouTube for places to visit in Europe. And like, it is a important research tool, right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. My wife's from Bolivia and we show our kids like videos of her town. Cause it's like, we're like, here it is. Cause that's the only way we can do, unless we're going to travel there, but it's like, yeah, you just check it out. But yeah, man. And so like I was posting videos and then I started getting calls and I just remember when it popped off, I did a nice video. There's a neighborhood here called Dominion Valley. It probably only has 2,000 views. And I think I've sold 15 homes from that one video because here's what happened was the neighbors started sharing it and they were like, man, this guy really showcased our neighborhood well. And a lot of people that watched it had no idea that Dominion Valley was there. And they were like, man, I didn't know about this neighborhood and all these amenities. And you're the guy that knows everything. And so I just remember what's that?
Do you live in Dominion Valley?
I don't. I don't even live there. It's gated too. That's the funny part about it. I actually had to get my buddy that lives in there to give me a gate code.
No, and for anyone listening, that's a great takeaway, right? Because there's so many stories we tell ourselves, right? It's like, well, I'm not the expert. I don't know that neighborhood. And all you need to do is take a genuine interest, right?
Right. 100%, man. And so to this day, dude, I post a video a week. It's been 3 or 4 years. And the funny thing is nobody can really complain. You know this because
I do it.
Yeah, but nobody can really complain to me about market because Northern Virginia is not a sexy market. Like you don't go like if it was Miami, I would go, hey, Miami, Virginia, or Miami, Florida, what will like live here? Northern Virginia is not like that. Like we have Fairfax, Arlington, Reston, we have all these cities, and most people there's not a real searchable term. But what happened was, which was beautiful for me, is YouTube. They've gotten so smart that they kind of give you a billboard now on the homepage. And so 90% of my traffic comes from them realizing that this person Googled something about real estate. They were looking at Northern Virginia, and then they're putting me up on the billboard with my thumbnail on their homepage. And that's where most of my traffic comes from. So there's a lot of science that goes into that, a lot of research. But yeah, man, that was kind of the journey with YouTube. And we can get into that more. But with Instagram was a lot more funnier. So I have one of the craziest Air Jordan collections in the country. And nobody even knew it. So I started, which sneakers is probably the most competitive space on Instagram. There's just so many people. And I just started posting once a day. And I was like, got these new shoes, got this. And I would get really good pictures of them. And I started off with 0 followers. Then I got to 10,000. Then I got to 20,000. I got to 25,000. And a lot of it was because the bigger pages started to share me and they were like, man, this guy's got a crazy collection. And then I would also get sneakers a little bit early. But the crazy thing was like what I learned with that was I had to post every day. And then number 2, what came out of that is I've gotten gifts from LeBron James, Nike, Crocs still to this day still sends me free shoes. SneakerCon hired me as a celebrity. And that was just like from posting consistently every day. And that's the funny thing about YouTube and Instagram is even if you're into the weirdest thing, right? Like, and some people say, well, how did that help with real estate? People in my local community knew me from the sneaker stuff. And they were like, you're the realtor, right? And so like that kind of built up from there. And I remember, man, to this day, I could not get the real estate page to pop off. I was trying a lot. I was posting houses. I was posting mansions. I was just doing, here's the top 3 home inspection tips. And no one gave a crap. For whatever reason, Northern Virginia, no one gives a crap about houses. And I just remember I did a drone shot and it said, this is the richest neighborhood in Northern Virginia. And I just kind of trend jacked what was like popping off. And nobody was doing that, but like other music. And it went off, dude. It went like 2.5 million views. And I was like, okay, I've got them now. I was like, it's over. I'm going to like kill this now. And then from there, man, that page started to, it's been 2 or 3 years of a grind, man. I've literally posted almost every day. And I've now become like known. I'm pretty much like a celebrity in our local market here. So I'll give you a funny story. I went to the dentist yesterday. You would have thought I was Brad Pitt walking in there. They were like, oh my God, dude, we were worried you weren't going to show. Thank you so much. We all love your content. We love your videos. Oh my God, the dentist comes in. I just wanted to come in and personally shake your hand. You do so much for this community, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, now here's the thing, right? You know what I said to all of them? Oh, dude, I appreciate that. If you ever have any real estate related needs, just let me know. And all this is from me just posting on Instagram, and 16 million people a month watch my Instagram, which is insane for a real estate Instagram.
So give us context on 85,000 followers, by the way. And I think the part that people miss on that, right? Because I feel like I just started my journey 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm at 19,000 followers. And the metric that I've started to get obsessed with is the views and the interactions, right? So
right.
19,000, I'm averaging between 600,000 and 700,000 views every 30 days with about 40 to 50,000 interactions.
It's awesome.
What are you seeing? And, what was that growth curve? And explain the content specifically that you saw work for you. And also how do you think through of like, how do you find what works for you?
Dude, so I'm obsessed with headlines. So don't ask me why, but I studied TMZ and the New York Post are both phenomenal at headlines. And what do I mean by that? Another great account is Complex. They're like a culture company, like Instagram. Mm-hmm. What I would see with TMZ was everything was like shocking. It was like, Leo was caught cheating, or doing this, or Brad Pitt was over here. And New York Post is the same way. And what I started to learn was I was like, okay, I can take any story and then just say it could be, traffic in Northern Virginia is the worst in the country, or Northern Virginia was ranked number 2 in the United States for worst traffic in the country. And my headline would be Northern Virginia traffic insane, ranked 2nd worst in the country. And I know what I'm doing by that, because what's going to happen is 50% of the people are going to be like, traffic sucks, and the comments go up. Oh, yep, I knew that's why, blah, 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 blah. But what ends up happening is all that interaction, Instagram is like, whoa, this has got to be something that we got to show everybody. And the big metric that I look at is shares. So if it gets shared a lot, Instagram is going to push it because they're in the business of getting eyeballs. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, okay, this is really great content. So again, like a good example would be Axios DC just posted John Berthal. He's from the DMV. He's a big Hollywood star. He just bought a house in Maryland. He's moving back to the DMV. Headline was Hollywood star John Berthal, DMV native, is moving back, bought $3.75 million mansion. That thing has 10,000 shares right now.
Wow.
Okay. Now, some people might say, Chris, like, what does that have to do with real estate? What does that have to do with that? But what it's doing is I'm now almost becoming like they end up on my page, they follow me, and I just sprinkle in a little bit of real estate. And I can touch into that because 90% of my content is just local news, local updates, what's going on in the community, 10%. But then they say I know that they're in the DMV, right? Because they're interested because of the John Berthal thing. So now they see me as the realtor. So I close leads all the time because they're like, hey, man, I've been following your page all day. I didn't realize you're a realtor, and it's in my, bio on the Instagram. And they're like, yeah, this is that. So the big thing, my 3 pillars, man, are I do local development, which a lot of realtors have copied. And I think they're losing a lot of authenticity with it that I beat them out on because they use AI bots. And I think that the people are smart enough to know that it's not you. And the biggest thing that I get from people when I'm out in the field is, man, you're so genuine and you tell some great stories. And I love your humor and your enthusiasm. And I just don't think you can get that using AI. Maybe it'll get better in that, but, and then they become, and you almost look like a news reporter, like you're not authentic. But like a good example would be people, what I noticed was if I see a new development sign, and it's new community coming, then I research it. I just use ChatGPT and I'm like, tell me about it. And then I do a reel about it. Hey, I don't know if you guys knew this, but this new shopping center is coming over to Haymarket and it's going to be X and they're going to have this and that. And this is going to be big for the community. And it's like a 45-second reel. And those reels, yeah, they get 50 to 100,000 views, but it's 50 to 100,000 people in Northern Virginia.
I mean,
people in Paris, you know what I mean?
Pause right there.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Social has completely desensitized us.
Yeah.
Right. Like when someone, I talk to agents all the time, like sometimes I post, I only get 46 likes. It's like, do you know 46 people? Because I don't know if I'd invite 46 people to my house.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
that would show up. Right. And even like a post that gets 300 views, right? Like you got licensed in early 2000. So did I. For the young folk listening, like they won't believe. Do you remember what we paid for a Washington Post classic?
Oh yeah, thousands of dollars.
In 2002, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, open house Sunday would cost me like $160.
Yeah,
like $1,000 is like the ad. I'm talking about like
little
just
tiny
like the open house thing, right? Because we were hoping that somebody had the paper out and was highlighting for an open house. Like now, if you have an audience in the market and then you sprinkle in like, check out this amazing house and I have an open house this weekend, right? The cost per eyeball, right? For me, if I were to use literally the same algorithm and do a paid piece of content to get 900,000 eyeballs on Instagram, it's $7,000 on a paid campaign for one piece of content.
Yeah.
So building that audience, I by the way, I made a post about this recently. I think it's a window in time, right? Because about 12 months ago, we went from the social graph to the interest graph, which is what you touched on earlier. And you don't actually need to have a huge following.
No, you
if
don't.
The content hits, the content hits.
I'll tell you, you know what, man? It drives me nuts. And I used to have great hair like you until I started dealing with realtors on my team. But, I think Facebook is the most underutilized tool. Here's why, right? Who has the money and who uses Facebook? Baby boomers. And I know a realtor, he's an EXP agent. He's netting a ton of money and it's all from Facebook. And he literally is like, hey, going to this house today and just left my listing with a selfie in front of it. And he tells a little bit of a story. He posts like 2 or 3 times a day. And most of his business comes from Facebook. And I just started doing it. And all of a sudden my sphere business has gone through the roof. And here's the problem, right? And you know this, Leo, you've been in the business for a while. If your sphere and people don't see that you're out in the field, what do they think? He's not selling any houses.
Or worse. Yeah. They forget you're in the business.
Yeah, they forget you're in the business. And now people are like, I had someone write me the other day and I was shocked. They go, I didn't know you were a realtor. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been doing this since we left high school. And I'm on, I got all this big YouTube and big Instagram, but I was like, yeah. And they were like, I hadn't seen you post much on Facebook. Now I'm posting like every day. And a ton of my parents' friends are calling me like, hey, we're going to be downsizing. And that's who's on Facebook is the baby boomers and people 40, 50s. That have money, and that's free too. And like you said, right? Like, and I look at it like this, right? You go on Instagram, and I look at a lot of your posts, right? And I love the tweet style that you do, right? And here's what happens: like some of yours, just like my content, some of them do great, some of them don't. But there's been ones of yours that didn't pop off that I've shared with my team and been like, man, he's got a really great point. And this is the CEO of EXP, and it's so funny, man. They're all like, oh my God, I love that guy. He puts out the best stuff. But imagine if you were like, oh man, that one only had 100 likes. This sucks. But you don't know about what's going on in the background like that.
Well, I do it in the viewers, right?
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. Like I made a personal post about a daddy daughter dance this weekend
Yep,
that
I
got like
saw that.
600 likes to 8,000 views,
Right.
right? And then I made that tweet style post, and it's funny. You know, I've watched it. You know the ones you guys react to the best to, the ones where
What's
I'm
that?
kind of yelling at you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
You know exactly which one of my
Yeah,
content. Like,
I think that was the one that I shared because it was something about connects or talking to people or the phone or something. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But some of those I'll get, like you said, 100, 200 likes, but I'll get 18,000 views, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
obviously,
Yep.
like, it's not even fair if I post my beautiful wife or my amazing
Yeah.
children, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just not fair because they're way cooler than I am.
Right, right. Yeah.
And I do less of it, and it humanizes me. But at the same time, sometimes there's like, I did one that's like, the thing that most people say, successful people are also tired. They don't want to get up. They don't want to do the thing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's feelings are not instructions,
Yeah.
right? But that thing got, 18, 20,000 views.
Yeah.
I don't know that people liked it as much because it was probably very personal,
What we
but
need
they
to
shared it
hear.
a
Yeah.
ton. It
Yeah.
got like 200 shares, which is the
Yeah.
metric I actually focus on.
Right. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. And the thing is, like, I think the new commodity or the new money is becoming a celebrity in your local market. I'll just give you an example, and I'm not telling you this to brag, but like Live Golf hired me. They were
Oh,
like, so to be their ambassador last year, they hired me again this year because they were like, hey, they did research and they were like, you have the most influence in Northern Virginia.
well,
And
and said differently, in a world where information's commoditized
right.
and soon to be like level of effort, I think the currency of the next decade will be influence and
Yeah, for sure.
attention, right?
Yeah.
Because that cannot be replicated.
Yeah.
And influence, like because I study you guys, I'm learning from you guys. The ones who do it are the ones who consistently can drive a conversation.
Right.
That's not lazy. So the interesting thing I'm witnessing is the AI slop coming into
Yes.
social.
Yeah.
And the way I frame it for folks is like, how many times, and the holiday just went by, and a holiday is a perfect reminder of slop. How many of us get a stupid email from any walk of life, past
Right.
customer, vendor, who's like, "Dear Chris, happy holidays," generic ass photo. And then like the disclaimer of like, if not intended for you, please delete, blah, blah, blah.
You're talking about lenders, I assume, because I get 10
Hey,
a day.
home inspectors,
Yeah,
lenders,
exactly.
title
Yeah, yeah.
partners, other realtors.
Right. Realtors. Yeah.
It's like, first of all, there is nothing of value in that piece of communication,
No. Yeah.
right? It and I think it's actually a negative because our brain interprets it as spam,
Yeah.
right? And so for agents listening about social, don't do that with social, right?
Right.
And the example I give to people is, how many times do you scroll post LLM, where all of a sudden you get a gut visceral reaction when
Right.
you know that whether the text or the image was created, in my opinion, haphazardly to check a
Right.
box, where it's like you probably have a schedule and it's uninspiring to you, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And what I think is real is that we as a human being in a tribal species, and I think since the beginning of time, we ascribe value to time. We
Yeah.
ascribe value to time, meaning like us interacting together is meaningful for you and me because you're giving me your time so I could share this with the audience on how
Right.
to do this, right? Because this is a important topic that's evergreen and it's only going to become more important. When we see a behavior that we know people didn't spend time on, right? Like, perfect example, when Zora dropped, I thought it was fun for like 48 hours.
Right. Yeah. Same. Same. Yeah.
What do you do now when you see that watermark? Or you,
I
like,
don't
you don't
even
even
pay
need the
attention.
watermark. You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
it's AI, right?
Yeah.
Versus you on a green screen with a headline explaining it. Like, the level of effort might not even be that much different
Right. Yeah.
because like putting the prompt in the Zora, going back and forth, redoing it, you might as well have just grabbed the headline and talked over it and added your context as a human being.
Right. Exactly. Done green screen. Yeah.
And someone scrolling in the DMV who may be a buyer or seller is just like, wait a second, that is interesting. I didn't know there was a new community coming to Haymarket, right? Versus like you writing a unicorn as Captain Realtor, like what's the value in that?
Right. I look at it too, like another thing that I like to tell realtors is imagine you're a car salesman, right? And you post, hey, I've got this Camaro for sale, or these are the 5 things you need to learn this winter about like updating your Chevy. No one cares. And the general public does not care about home inspection tips and 5 ways to get approved. Like they want to get real value from you. And I think that can be a little lazy too. And realtors are like, why is this not working? And I'm like, because you're not really giving value out there. You're just, most people could give 2 craps about the 3 best things to look for a home inspection because they're not in that current position right now, you know? And so that's the other thing. But yeah, at the Live Golf thing, I took 18 selfies with fans of mine at Live Golf. And it was like, and that's when I was like, yeah, this is like coming into something, right? And it's, and then at JW Marriott, I just opened a new hotel and they had me be like the one to introduce it and things like that. And the connections I'm getting from it. But the beautiful thing is, man, I look at it like this. What's the worst that can happen? You go out, you put this content out and your sphere sees it. And they were like, man, I love what Leo's doing. This is really good. Or other people are like, you know what I mean? And it grows.
Well, I mean,
that's the worst that could happen, right?
I can share personally that 2 years ago when I took over, in fairness, and again, like I'm hyper aware of where I sit in the ecosystem. If you were from the DMV, you knew who I was because of my production background, right? Like, I don't know if you were at the last rally in DC. There was 600 people in the room, and I said, "Raise your hand if we actually did a deal together."
Yeah.
I got like 30 hands to go up. One agent pulled out his phone. He goes, "Here's an email of the last deal you and I went back and forth on 12 years ago."
I remember when you were selling like 600 homes and then all of a sudden you dominated the foreclosures. And this guy was like killing it. Yeah.
So as a local practitioner, I had street cred, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So if I jumped on with a team from the DMV, they knew who I was. If I jumped on with a Keller Williams team, even in Washington State, they're like, yeah, you were on stage with Gary, right? Like you were in the top 100. But in fairness, if I jumped on with a team from Berkshire Hathaway, outside of the DMV, right? Like Long and Foster knew who I was. But like if you were from Texas or you were from Idaho, they don't know who I was. And rightfully so. There's zero expectations of me for them to know who I was. But I can tell you 2 years later that when I jump on with a team leader, I'm like, hey, do you need a little bit of background? They're like, no, I know who you are. Right.
Yeah.
And what that gets me is there is not a version of the world where you go, let me tell you about myself, and you don't come across slightly arrogant, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
But this is a version of edification from yourself,
right?
That isn't you saying me,
yeah,
right? It's proof of concept, right? It's like, as a realtor, it's like, look at my transactions, look at this. Versus for me, it's leadership, like me on an Inman stage being opinionated about the industry and which way it should go, litigation, disagreeing with NAR publicly, going, yeah, I disagree with them, we're going to do it differently, and here are my forms, and I like, Chris, use my form, don't use theirs, right?
Yeah.
And so what happens for me and how this translates directly to agents is, if we have 30 minutes together and I don't have to talk about myself for 10 minutes, and I can actually ask you questions for 30 minutes, right? Because typically pre-social footprint for me, I needed to convince you that I was smart enough, worthy enough for you to respect me.
Yeah, for sure.
And by the way, this translates directly to a listing appointment.
Yeah.
Directly to a buyer consultation. Like the first 10 minutes of someone who doesn't know you, their body language is like this.
Yeah, for sure.
They're like, okay, do your thing. Pitch me, right? Their guard is way up. They're looking for all the psychological tricks. They're looking for the script that you're going to guide them down. Versus like, I feel like I know you, right? The amount of times I get on a call, they're like, hey, I'm a huge fan. Like, I'm a huge fan of your wife, right? Like,
Yeah. I love your wife.
Ariana's the better speaker of the two of us.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
like,
Yeah.
hey, my daughter sings too. What your daughter's doing is so amazing. Like, I went to an event and this guy is like, hey, you don't know me, but like, I brought this specific soap for your son because my son also does jujitsu and it's really good antibacterial, so he doesn't get it. And
Cool. Yeah.
like, I didn't have to like, and again, it like they've gotten to know me like as a human being, not just as a corporate CEO.
For
Right?
sure.
So
Yeah.
the fact that I don't have to sell on my competence and literally my script goes, if 5 years from now we were sitting together
Yeah.
and everything worked out better than you thought, what changed in your life? What are the pain points? And I just listen.
Yeah.
And genuinely, I give the context of like, hey, I might tell you that we're not a fit for you.
Right. Yeah. For sure.
And I genuinely, a decent amount of calls, I'm like, hey, we're not it. Like our model's different, right? And a lot of times I'll say, look, the problems you're sharing are a business model problem. Like you coming here isn't going to change that. Like, are you open to switching from flat fee on the broker owner side, not the commission side, but like, hey, your revenue model as a broker owner is too thin,
Right.
and coming here is not going to change that, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
are you open that like you have a margin problem,
Right.
right? And if they say, well, I can't change that, then I'm like, I'm not it. Like I don't.
Yeah. It might not be the best fit. Yeah.
I didn't build this business doesn't support that from a
Right.
margin
Yeah.
standpoint, right? Like we're not a flat fee broker model, right?
Right.
I'm so clearly not the commission structure, like how we collect on per the transaction. And so just setting the expectations, like I'm not for everybody.
Right.
And our margin is a cap and split model to the agents. And we don't need to support everybody, right?
Yeah.
We're at 4% of our agent in America. Like if we ever get to 10 or 15, that's the greatest of all time. Like the
Right. Yeah.
bar is
Yeah.
probably 15 with Keller, right?
Right.
Look, if we get to 8 or 9 or 10, we absolutely killed it, right?
Yeah. For sure.
But that also means that 90 to 92% of the agents will never be with us at any time.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, I remember my former company, big company, I wrote the CEO and just said, hey, just a thought or a question, never responded. And I remember I wrote you and you were like, let's jump on a Zoom. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I mean, I know you're a busy guy, you run a publicly traded company. And so to me, I'm like, hey, that's the type of company we are, type of leader we have. You know what I mean? That little difference,
Well, I'll close it with this because I think it's a super good analogy, right? Like I was one of you.
Right.
And the question I get asked is like, oh, your world's different. I'm like, no, it's actually not.
Yeah.
My
No,
job is to create leads at the top of the funnel,
Mm-hmm.
convert them into appointments, and have conversations, right? And so, what I would implore everybody to understand is like you and I started the same time, like 2001, 2002. For the younger folks listening to this, you and I used to use Top Producer, probably, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I
Yeah.
paid Brian Buffini for the box of items of value.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I had that as well.
Which, by the way, like mad respect, and we work with the Buffinis today.
For sure.
But like it doesn't get easier than today.
No.
And like the homework I would give to anybody on social that is like still scared of creating content. First of all, especially on Facebook, and then secondarily on Instagram, follow everyone you've put into a house in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like want to call this prospecting and do it in earnest, block 1 to 2 hours a day, not to scroll your discover page, but your actual feed.
Yeah.
And if you put somebody in a house, comment on their stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It's the digital version of that house tour we opened with, right? Where it's like, oh my God, your kids got so big since I sold you the house.
Yep. Exactly.
Congratulations.
Yep.
Right. And genuinely engage with content. One is it reminds them you're alive and you move out of the DMV, which happens all the time. And you know what happens to the algorithm if you do that?
Start showing you more. Yes. Yeah.
It starts. So when you do post, and again, it's that documentation, right? It's like show them that you're in the local community, right? And all of a sudden your content shows up in their feed.
Yeah. And I'll end with a little tip. Facebook, I spend 5 minutes a day. You know, their friend suggestions. I'm teaching the algorithm to only show me people that I know or like leads that I've talked to, not just like realtors, because it always wants to refer me realtors. So I hit decline and then decline if I don't want that realtor in my world or whatever. And you can train Facebook where it's literally showing the leads that you're talking to in your phone. It's showing you. And that's why it's important to stay consistent on there as well. So,
well, Chris, it was a pleasure having you. I
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
all that you shared. Keep killing it. Keep doing what you're doing. And I'm grateful to be in business with you.
Same to you, man. If I know you, you're going to pass me on Instagram, but I'm going to try my best to hold you back, you know?
Okay. Slow and steady wins the race. And again, for comparison, it's like I don't think I've broken 1,000 posts, right? And
yeah.
Twice a day, right? So
yeah,
it's just reps at the end of the day.
It is, man. That's all it is, dude. Not overthink. It's not a science project. It's not complicated. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here.
Cool. Thanks, man.